Ba-da-da-dum-da-dum. Welcome to KritzKast. I don't know the rest of the words. Anyway, welcome here. This is a beautiful place. My name is Agro. I am in the most gorgeous city country, no, second most gorgeous city country. God, the daggers I'm getting is unbelievable. I am in the Esports United Clubhouse in Sweden. I am joined today on this, in this cherry kind of area by Mia. Mia is, if you don't know, Mia is the lead, the project lead of Team Fortress 2 at Copenhagen Games. She wears many caps. She is known by many names. Well, actually, it's just the one name. Anyway, together with me and Mia, we are lucky enough to be joined in a virtual sense by a hero of the esports world, certainly in Denmark stroke Sweden.
Definitely.
Apparently there are two countries merged into one by some cataclysmic event. Anyway, by someone called Zahid. But Zahid, are you there? No, you're not. I can't hear you. Well, Zahid, are you there?
I am here, but there isn't any voice.
Oh, well, my goodness me. What a fantastic, fine-looking fella you are. I was not expecting that.
Oh, can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you, and I'm assuming Mia can hear you as well. Yes, you're definitely being heard. Well,
I just want to meet my little pet here.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah. She bites sometimes.
Yes.
That's okay.
Apparently, Zahid. I think this is setting the tone for the entire interview. You're the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, as someone who holds such a serious role at Copenhagen Games. Am I correct in saying so?
Okay. This is a serious interview. Hold on for a second. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. What were you expecting?
That's just fun. Yes. Well, I do work with the Copenhagen Games and a few other esports projects in Denmark.
Okay, I think we need to set a baseline here. I mean, we've brought you in under the pretense that we're going to talk to you about Copenhagen Games, and we are going to get onto that. But I think we need to understand who you are and how you'll sort of set up your esport credentials. Are you a gamer? Are you an esporter? Have you won many trophies in your lifetime? What's the story of Zahid?
I've never won anything.
I don't want to steal any content from your book here.
It's okay. Well, basically, the thing is that I started to play Counter-Strike like everyone else back in the late 90s. And I, from getting close to, at that point, something you can call maybe a professional career. No, I wasn't that good, but I was getting better. But I just suddenly got more interested in organizing stuff. And basically at that point in Denmark, there were so many online tournaments, but none of them actually really worked because they were youngsters and people want to do this voluntarily. A lot of people, a lot of tournaments, a lot of projects, but nothing was really working organized or in a structural form. So, and we missed that. So we kind of, SLAP was a team.
Oh, sorry.
Back in the late 90s.
This is your team. You're lead of the team.
This is our team. Yes,
right.
We created a team at the office where I actually worked, and then SLAP became a league because we kind of missed somewhere where there were organized tournaments. And from that point, I remember the first time we did a tournament, we were like 3 teams. A month later, we were 20 teams, and then everything just went rocket high. And compared to a lot of the other youngsters that were working with esports at that point, we tried to organize stuff. We tried to create some kind of a structure or infrastructure within the work we did. And I think that's a part of the success we had. And SLAP was actually run up until 2012,
right?
Where CSGO came and everything kind of, Counter-Strike communities just died everywhere for a while. And at that point, we were around 40,000 members in SLAP. So it was
it's a fairly large number.
It was a huge community, and we did We did online leagues throughout the whole year, but we were Danish. We were local. We didn't want to, At that point, we have ClanBase. ESL really didn't exist yet, but we did have ClanBase as an international platform to play on. But we just kept the Danish, and just to give you a little story. At the start of the year 2000, we actually did the first event. And the first event we did was like 35 people in a school in a city called Rødovre. And that was just a small start. And then suddenly
you're chuckling away here. Were you there for the first event?
I was not there for the first event, but I do remember his online leagues.
Right.
And there were so many like minor leagues back then. But Slap League was actually one of the best leagues.
It had the best name, let's face it. I don't care what the rest were called. Nothing's going to be a good slap.
Well, slap in Danish means weak, so
okay.
It's really no better in English.
Possibly.
Well, we actually had a cooperation with something called Muskelsvindfonden. It's a foundation that works with sick people. I don't know the English word for this disease, but it's like your muscles, they go... they die out.
Muscular dystrophy.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. I'm guessing. I'm not a doctor, but I just want to play. I just play one on the TV show.
It was really weird because slap, it's kind of like Mia saying, is everything dies out. You fall off. You are lazy, and working with that, with those guys that actually had this disease, this was really difficult. But they took it with a smile, and I think probably it was more us thinking about it all the time.
Yep.
That's just a little side story. But anyways, we started to do events in the year 2000, and that very quickly became 3 Slap Live events every year. And at that point, it was actually quite funny because I decided to have these events in different countries.
I'm smiling here. I've actually got a list of questions just off screen. I'm not sure. I think people can see like half my laptop, and you're slowly sliding down these questions before I have a chance to ask them. And normally I get angry at people for reading the notes, but you're not doing this. So you're just in autopilot. Tell me about the world mode. But fine, carry on. So
you wanted to have the story. So
no, this is fine. So whereabouts are we in terms of sort of Copenhagen Games? Is this sort of slap becoming Copenhagen Games, or?
Yeah, as I told you before, we did the Slap Live from the year of 2000 and up until 12. But in 2010, I felt like that Denmark should have an international esports event. And no one else actually really wanted to do that. No one was doing real esports. And we had a lot of minor late parties, net parties with 35, 50, a few hundred people. And then we had Slap Live, who, step by step, grew bigger. And then this feeling came that we should do something international. We should have an international esports event on Danish soil. So I took Slap Live Eastern and rebuilt and rebranded into Copenhagen Games.
Okay.
That's a short part of it.
So Copenhagen Games is almost by definition, despite the name Copenhagen Games, and which I should apologise now, and I probably should have apologised when we had a brief conversation this morning. But I assumed that Copenhagen Games was just for people in Copenhagen, and this was just something you kind of recently decided to kind of let people in on the secret, but it's not.
The Copenhagen Game was the idea of Copenhagen Game was born because I wanted to do an international event, and we actually succeeded with that with the first event already. At this point, and for the last many years, we have players from like 25, 30 different countries.
Wow. Okay. So Copenhagen Games is a thing now. It's up and running. How much of the coverage that you have at the moment, how much of the team involvement is Counter-Strike involved? Has it always been Counter-Strike? Obviously your first love is Counter-Strike, so I can see by the smile. Come on, you're recalling those moments. So Counter-Strike was a thing for you, and that's what you brought into Copenhagen Games. But how long has it been not just CS?
Well, first of all, it was Counter-Strike, and Denmark was all about Counter-Strike, and Denmark is still if you look at a competitive level, nothing is bigger than Counter-Strike here. Dota is not existing here.
Yep.
Legends was actually huge. In the years when Counter-Strike closed down from 2012, League of Legends suddenly grew. But as a competitive game, the recent years is kind of going down. I think a part of that is because of the politics that Riot is running, just closing down all of the top teams. Anyways, that's another discussion. But so for Denmark, like Denmark is in sports, like we discussed before, is a nation of football, and like Europe is a nation of football also.
Yep.
You know, I'm from Pakistan, and like people are crazy with football here. They're crazy with cricket. No one has any interest for cricket in Denmark. So I why, you know. In the same manner, if you look at esports, then Denmark is a country when it comes to the competitive level, and the same goes for Europe. So here, in this region, everything is about Counter-Strike when you discuss esports as a competitive part. So for us, yeah, it was naturally that it was Counter-Strike, but already when we did the first Copenhagen Games in 2010, we actually decided that Copenhagen Games should be a festival. So we will work with Counter-Strike, but the main idea was actually to work with whatever title people want to play. So this was actually the community deciding which titles we would have with us. So for instance, if suddenly League of Legends or PlayerUnknown or Fortnite becomes the huge new competitive platform, then we will probably move our focus to whatever it is.
We talked about this as well, that the problem with the appealing to the masses. I mean, the masses are all focused on Fortnite at the moment. It's a fantastic, beautiful, cartoony type game. I'm trying not to describe Team Fortress 2 when I do this, by the way. Beautiful, very cartoony type game, you know, amazing mechanics. As an esport, it's not quite there yet. So it's not something that you would naturally try and incorporate into Copenhagen Games, because Copenhagen Games is about esport. Yeah,
the heart of Copenhagen Game is the competition. And it's a tournament, it's a stage, it's a live stream production, it's everything that covers the name esports, so to say. So that's the heart of it. So, but we do, like I told you before, we also do Hearthstone tournaments from time to time, and it's like maybe with 50 or 60 people, but we still try to give it some space because we need to make sure that we can actually offer something to other people than just the Counter-Strike players.
Yep.
So we try, you know, and it's all about how much space we have, how much money we have, but we want to involve different kind of games, and that's why when me and I started to talk together, then actually Team Fortress was kind of the same idea. Let's see what we can do with Team Fortress. Yep. I had no, and I was about to say fucking, I didn't say it, but
well done. Excellent, sir. Such professionalism. It's extraordinary. Well done.
I had no idea of that we actually would be able to make our Team Fortress tournament that much interested. You know, we have so many Team Fortress players at the event. That actually surprised me.
I mean, this was, so 2018 was the first time that Team Fortress 2 appeared at Copenhagen Games. And the feedback we got from people in general was a little bit of sort of halfway between curiosity and an astonishment. How did you, because you were there, and I'm not sure everybody knows that you were there. I think if you weren't lucky enough to be one of the winners that got to meet you, or more importantly for them, you'd hand them a check or insert money into their bank accounts, which is probably a better way of going about it than a big flexible joke check.
It's kind of, I try to hide a bit when I'm out there because the thing is, compared to other organizers around in Europe, you don't get to meet the people behind.
Yep.
But I am a part of, because you know we have not only grown up with esports, but we have actually been a part of creating esports. So I'm an old guy in the business, and
we're all old guys in the business, aren't we, Mia?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I have a very public and visible picture of myself within esports. So when I'm out there, you know, if I have to go from one part of the venue to the other, it will take me like an hour. because there's a lot of
No.
people want to talk about this and that and so on. So hide a bit. So basically, when it comes to the winners and stuff like that, I'm not there. I do watch from somewhere, but I actually meet the winners when they are there to get their money.
Yeah. I'm not sure people recognize, or certainly within the Team Fortress 2 community, didn't clock to the fact that they were meeting the CEO. That was, I think they were just sort of a slightly smirky, surly-looking gentleman behind a desk who was annoyed that TF2 competitors didn't know their own bank account numbers or IBAN numbers.
Well, at that point, we are really tired and we look like something dragged in from outside. So yeah, that's probably a little funny experience.
Okay, talk to me about Copenhagen Games then, the event. I mean, you talked about sort of the end of it and what you're like at the end. What do you like at the beginning? When is the beginning of something like Copenhagen Games for you?
Well, I start with the preparations like 6 to 8 months up front. Right. And that's where we start to prepare everything, and not going too much into details, but I start by creating the teams, who is going to handle food and beverage, who is going to, we have a production manager, we have some esports managers, every area has its own team. Yep. And every team has a manager. So I start to have a meeting with each of our areas, and then basically deal with them what their jobs are for this upcoming event. Yep. And from that point we move on to the venue. We go out and we measure everything. How are the seats going to be there? How are the booths going to be? How is the stage going to be? So everything is kind of started like 6 and 8 months before the event. And with that, we actually also start with the sales. And most of the sponsorship sales, the sales of our partners, the sales for exhibitors and so on, is on me. That's my responsibility. This year, however, or at least this year for 2019, I actually partnered up with two new guys to see if we can move up a bit. And I'm doing so much work within esports in Denmark, so I'm not able to do more. And I know that we are actually not completely exploiting the potential we have, because I am kind of, everything stops by me. So I'm trying to put in new guys, new partners, new people to see if we can move up the event.
Mia was saying just today how that you're, I don't know whether she wants you to know this, that you're the busiest person in Denmark. That's you wear many hats and you do many jobs. Is that something that you've decided to, because you say you've got other people carrying some of the workload now, are you sort of stepping away from Copenhagen Games, the event?
No.
Or are you stepping into it and just shuffling other people around?
Oh yeah, well, the basic idea is that I have so many ideas. There's so much stuff I want to do with Copenhagen Games yet. So I think at least for the next 4 or 5 years, I won't step down, but maybe after that. The thing is that we are running Copenhagen Games, we are running eSport.dk, and we are running eSport Service, which is a company that's teaching esports in school. And all 3 of these projects are just going so fast. So in old days, I was actually, if you came to Slap Live, it doesn't matter whatever you wanted to talk about, I was the man.
Yeah.
So I kind of kept everything, and that was, if I did that today, then I'll probably die. So it doesn't work. So it's become too big just for one man. So we do have a big team, but it's taken me a few years to find the right people. Yep. And to kind of, and I must admit, it did take me some time to reach that point where I actually was feeling safe to hand some of the stuff over to another person. That was very difficult, but you need to do that, because if you don't do it, then you won't be able to develop whatever you are working with.
Yeah, best part of management is offloading all your duties onto other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It took me some time to understand, and it also took me some time to accept that I shouldn't be a part of everything. I should kind of, I need to keep the overall view, and then we need to have a team that actually can run everything.
So you're talking about sort of stepping up in terms of making Copenhagen Games bigger, better. more beautiful, possibly. I don't know whether there's going to be flowers dispensed. But is there? Do you have high aspirations? Do you want to be the next DreamHack?
No.
No, no.
Okay, DreamHack has become a huge, highly commercial product now, and that we don't want to be. We want to make money. It's everyone wants to make money. It's not that, but it's like making money is the biggest issue for them. For us, we want to make money, but the most important thing is that we want to do esports, and we want to create a good experience for people there. So sometimes we actually do take some decisions which in company-wise thought would be crazy to do, but we still do it because we have the love for esports.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to be the biggest event in the world like DreamHack is, but
yeah.
I think they lost a lot of soul during this process. DreamHack today is not what DreamHack was like 5-6 years back.
Yeah.
It's become a huge commercial monster, and you can see that in the way it works. A lot of the passion is gone from there. A lot of the communities are actually us moving away, and that's because they kind of just went all commercial, and we won't do that.
Okay, what safeguards are you keeping in place then? I mean, I do love the fact that you and I've mentioned this, and this certainly comes up as well when we're trying to like big up Copenhagen Games as being the place to go to for Team Fortress 2 for 2019. Amazing, yay! As being an amazing opportunity for like physically meeting people and being there. Like you've got to be there at Copenhagen Games. So what are you doing to maintain that grounding so you don't get super commercial?
Well, first of all, I don't have someone behind me. I don't have a company. I don't have a boss. I don't have a owner who is.
You are the boss.
Yeah, but the thing is that I don't have someone behind me keep pushing me to make more money. So that's the first idea. The first reason why we can make sure that we don't end up there. The other part is that when we did Copenhagen Games the first time, we actually, and we meant it when we used the subtitle was, it was. Hold on, just give me a second. It was something like, it's gamers doing something for gamers.
Yeah, you're trying desperately not to use the Razer logo, isn't it?
Right?
Made for gamers.
It really become a logo for us. This was in the early 2010 and 11, where we actually did say that we were gamers doing something for gamers.
Yep.
So, and this was, gaming by gamers for gamers. And we kind of kept that, and we still keep it because we are most of the team behind Copenhagen Games, the management as well as the rest of the team. Most of us are actually gamers still, and we do have a few people that don't game, but 120 people and like 110 of them are gamers. So we kind of keep the spirit.
I'm just trying to think how many people are in CS:GO? Is it 5 per team? Can anyone do the math in chat on how many gamers there are in CS:GO with 110 players, or Team Fortress 2 or Highlander? You probably like separate it out. It's going to be easy. It's going to be like 50. You can have your entire LAN just with your staff. That's
sorry.
You can have a whole LAN just from your staff alone.
We actually do.
You do.
We do.
Do you? I mean, is that like secret LAN or something?
It is a secret LAN.
Well, it's not anymore, but.
It's unfortunately not all of the 120 people are able to be there. I think we are maybe around 40-50 people at max when we are, because this is does the date fix everyone, and you cannot find a date where all of them can at the same time. But basically, the basic idea is that all of these volunteer people, they come in and they spend a week working for us, and even though it's their passion, I feel like we need to give something back. And so what we do is we invite them for this LAN party, which is a crew party, so to say, and it's basically more a party than it's a LAN.
Yeah, pizza a few of those.
So yeah, so they come, and I try to, every Copenhagen Games, I try to take out a little part of the budget, so we have the money enough to actually invite our crew, give them food, give them beverage, give them free beer also, and
That's
basically, you
motivator
know,
it is. Yeah.
so basically, just trying to do something for them. So I need them to feel that this is not just a crew giving something to Copenhagen Games. We want to give something back for their loyalty, for their work, and for their, you know, their whatever they're doing for us.
Dedication. Yeah. So, I mean, it's great to have like the 6 months goal, and you're starting. I think, I imagine you either have already started for 2019, or you're definitely. I'm getting nods from it. Of course, stupid. Of course, he's already started. So it's a long build up to the actual event itself, and presumably people have their workloads and they need to get on with them and get them done. Do you have? How do you hype the crew, and how do you sort of maintain that enthusiasm for an event like Copenhagen Games?
Well, we
it can't all be the promise of free beer.
That's a part where I think we need to do more. We need to hype coming events more. Oh shit, free beer. I don't. So, you know.
That's not a real token. Please don't cut that
out.
out.
But I want to tell you one story.
Yep.
This is, I think it's quite funny. When we started to do these bigger events in the start of 2001, 2, 3, 4, and so on, most of the esports event in Europe were not allowing to drink alcohol during the event. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was standard. No beer, no alcohol, no nothing.
What?
Correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, and when the first event which actually officially allowed to drink beer was run by a Muslim. that was
genius.
That was actually quite
well done. Well done.
And I remember one of the biggest lab lives we did in Copenhagen many years back. We had a team from Italy that attended, and at that point we didn't have any big, you know, and I think this was the first time we really had a foreign team coming to Slap Live. So I was just curious. I said, what the fuck are those guys doing here? You know,
I'm glad you also didn't swear that time as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
I
assume that word is something different in Danish, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It has another meaning, which is not that bad. So
good.
I'll send you a video because the word F you say is actually very diverse. You know, there's a lot of meaning into it and depends on how you use it. So I have a clear conscience about that. Anyways, this team.
You right there, Mia. You're struggling. Brilliant.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway, carry on. I've interrupted your story.
We have something for her to drink right now.
And water.
I think she's on the free beer already. Started early.
Anyways, this team came from Italy, and I was just curious. So I went down and asked them and said, "Why are you guys? What are you doing here? You know, we don't have like $100,000 you can win."
Yep.
So, and they told me, well, first of all, they actually rented. I don't know what you call that in English. Kassevogn, which is a
van.
A van with it's combined minibus with some space behind. Okay. So they rented this one, and then they drove all the way from Italy down to Copenhagen to be a part of Slap Live, and that made me even more curious about what they were doing. And then they told me the reason why they came was actually they heard about this LAN party with esports, which actually allowed to drink beer. So they came just
hired half of Italy into a van.
Yeah, just to bring beer.
Just for beer.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was quite fun.
That's pretty impressive. Anyway, so if we can kind of, I sort of want to angle this towards. I don't know whether you were saying the lower third. You've done it now. I kind of want to angle this. I want to angle this a little bit towards Copenhagen 2019, which is a big event. It's going to be bigger than it was in 2018. Obviously, Team Fortress 2 is going to be making an appearance. We definitely want to continue on the goodwill that we've built so far from 2018. What's coming up in 2019? What is the new venue?
Well, yeah, that's the part we are moving away from Bella Center. I'm a bit, it's good and maybe bad. I'm not sure where this will end. It's because Bella Center is actually the biggest venue in Denmark, and here in this part of Denmark where we work in Copenhagen, if we want to get bigger, there is no else venue we can choose. But there are some things that didn't really work for us in Bella this year. First of all, the venue it's boring concrete everywhere.
I mean, you're sandwiched sort of in between the airport and the sea, I think.
Yeah, airports are still good looking. This is, we have to spend a lot of money to want to make it good. That was one reason. The other reason was that, there wasn't anything close, so you cannot go out and experience something. You not go out and buy something to drink or eat or everything. So everything is a bit far away from this venue. So, and in this sense, there were like maybe 3-4 reasons for us to try to move back into the city. So this venue is actually close to the heart of the city. So, and on top of that, I actually think inside of the venue here is really, really good. There is an atmosphere, and it's an old workshop for trains. They used to, in old days, they used to actually work with trains in here, fix them or whatever they were doing.
Model trains or full-size trains?
Full-size trains.
Full-size, okay.
Yeah,
it's really small venue. It's like a venue for mice. Anyway, carry on.
Well, it's called the locomotive. The locomotive is the old word for for these old trains, like when they were running on. You remember you see the Western movies. Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
So and there is actually one of these trains are actually in the venue. There is one of these within the venue, so you can see it there when you arrive. But it's very special, and it has a good atmosphere. But the size of the venue is that we will max it out this year. So the way we can actually develop in future is either to, maybe we have to move back to Bella, or we can develop into the city. This year we will try to move we have a conference, we have a business conference during the event. So we will move that out somewhere else in the city. And that's another way for us to try to develop Copenhagen Games. So instead of just one bigger venue, we'll try to see if we can actually move it out in the city in different places. In that sense, we will try to see if we actually can get to involve a lot bigger part of Copenhagen than we are doing right now.
It is one of the disappointments where you go to any LAN events where you really don't feel like you're at a LAN, and let's face it, if you're a gamer, then you're really there just to enjoy games, and you could be anywhere. It helps that you're with other people and you're really enjoying the LAN experience, but it's so irrelevant that you're in Copenhagen. But I thought that was one of the opportunities that Copenhagen Games was missing out on. The fact that it was for a lot of people, a new city. Not for you, obviously. Mia, you can go there any day. But it was a new city. You can get lost in all the traffic any day of the week. But it was a missed opportunity. It was a place, as you say, out in a concrete jungle, and there was no sense of how beautiful and remarkable a city Copenhagen is. And I think that's what this new location brings to it. It is you are part of Copenhagen at this point.
Yeah. And you have to know that if you haven't been at the other events, the Copenhagen Games has been at the same event since 2010.
Right.
And in Uxnehallen, and that venue is actually just in the middle of Copenhagen. So for all of the years, they have been able to just step outside of the venue, and they have the whole city there. There are so many places to go. You can go out and drinking, you can eat, you can shop, you can do everything there. So it's there, it's a huge, huge cultural spot also, with a lot of music, a lot of partying, whatever you want to do, it's there. So we have had this for since 2010, and this year we suddenly didn't have it. So when we did the survey among guests and players, this was one thing. Most of them actually told us that they miss being up in the middle of the city. So that was also a part of the decision when we decided to move into another venue.
Right. Okay. So the new venue itself, it is, as you say, located in or near a site of some historical reference or value. Um, there's going to be the things that we did like a little survey, asked people for questions for this, and I think one of the biggest questions asked was the can I sleep somewhere? Am I able to get food? Like, it's amazing. You ask gamers what they really want from a venue. I want somewhere to sleep and I want some food. So, what are the locations like in the surrounding area for getting a good night's kip without spending a fortune?
Yeah, first of all, in Bella here this year, we were not allowed to run the food and beverage ourselves. So,
Right.
and Bella is a very commercial place, and I really tried to make them understand that these are youngsters that have to be there like 3 or 4 days, so they will not be able to pay the very expensive prices they have for everything in Bella. But they didn't understand that, so we were surprised they were very expensive, to be honest. This year is this is actually also part of the reason why we decided to move, is that we have the food and beverage ourselves in this new venue, and like we have done always, we do put down, the prices are not high. We try to keep them low, because that's not a main part of the income we have. It is a part of the income, but it's not a main part of the income. Yeah. We will rather sell more beers than make money on selling more than a few beers, so to say. And we do sell a lot of beers, I have to admit.
I don't think anyone needs to question that.
but the thing is that the food will. For some years, we actually produce the food ourselves, so we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
So the food will be delivered by professionals from outside at some very reasonable rates, and then we will sell it in the venue.
Yep.
Apart from that, if you go there is a 10 or 15 minutes walk from this venue. You can go directly into something called Fisketro. Fisketro is a mall. It's a shopping center. And you kind of have everything there from very reasonable price. And there's a McDonald's in there if you want to do that. But there are a lot of places there where you can buy food and drinks, and you can, basically you can just shop yourself.
Silly?
Yeah. Well.
If that's your thing, I don't think anyone's going to go to Copenhagen Games purely for shopping, but it's reassuring to know that there is like a value possibility out there. I kind of don't want to go into one of the things that we're desperately trying to pull together, and it will go live at some stage, is the current lan.teamfortress2.com website will have a FAQ on it, and there'll be lots of opportunities to ask questions in our Discord. And if you want to know about the local sleeping arrangements, then that's something that we can at least enhance your knowledge on. So that's
one thing about the sleeping or the accommodation facilities. Normally, I see this as we have two kind of people at the Copenhagen Games. We have the ones that want to stay at a hotel because they either have too much money or they are too old to sleep in a Latin party area. And then
I am one of those two categories, but carry on. Yeah.
And then we do have an area for the ones who just want to bring their sleeping bag and stay there. And what we did was we actually rented this area in the old venue where we used to be, which is not far from this. So there we have the sleeping area. There are really good facilities with baths and with toilets and stuff like that, and there's good heat in there. Yep. So if people basically don't want to pay for a hotel, they can sleep there. And that will be a part of the ticket you can buy at Copenhagen Games, and then we will have some shuttle buses to move drive back and forth.
I was going to ask.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I mean, the heat is a good thing. I had forgotten to bring this up because we are in Sweden at the moment. We've spent a few days in Denmark. It's been lovely. Thank you, Mia, for putting up with us. But it is not normally quite so warm and friendly in Easter time. Which I think is what the tradition you've chosen. Why did you choose so damned early in the year to do Copenhagen Games? And why is it always so damn cold?
Well, normally it is, but this year something has changed. I don't remember when we have had this good weather for so long. You know, we are almost in the middle of October, and I can still go outside without a jacket. I don't remember when I could do that the last time. It's the change. You know, surely the weather in Denmark has went through a huge change a few years now, and this year was very, very clear that it's changing into something else. So if you look at the Eastern, the reason why we did, we have to go back to the SLAP lifetime is because the Eastern holidays in Denmark is traditionally not a holiday where people move to somewhere else. You know, they stay home.
Yep.
So for us, it was a good opportunity to make sure that we could have a lot of participants. That was the original idea, and we just kind of went with that. And then suddenly we actually know that the Eastern holidays are the same in the other Nordic countries. And since we wanted to attract them also, so we kind of just went on with the Eastern holidays, so to say. And yeah, it was at some point it was cold, but I just thought, well, it's okay if it's cold, because then people just stay within the venue.
And they drink more beer.
And drink more beer.
I see a pattern emerging. I'm hoping that this year round of 2019, it's going to be a little bit warmer. It's heading much more towards, it's April rather than March, sort of mid-end of April. So fingers crossed that it's going to be a little bit warmer for us. But
yeah, definitely. And even this year during Easter when we were in Bella, it was actually not that bad. You know, the weather was okay.
Yeah.
Except for the snow.
Except for the snow, and like the only reason I've thought of mentioning this now was the very fact that you were talking about having heated sleeping areas and having warm baths. The opportunity to sleep on site was there for 2018. The showers were outside. I don't know whether you thought of hypothermia as being an issue, but
that's a challenge out in Bella, and we started to look towards see if we can move these rented the wagons we had for baths. We tried to see if we can put them inside, but that was basically not possible because what you don't know is just beneath where the wagons are, you have the drain. So water and drain was there, so we were not able to make a solution where we can put it inside. So we wanted to put it inside, but it just didn't work out. But luckily this year we don't have to think about that because there are indoor facilities at the sleeping area.
Oh, it does raise an interesting question, though. I mean, the whole idea of where you have a shower. It's such an obscure thing, and you're planning a LAN. You're putting all this attention into getting people from all over the world to turn up in your amazing venue. You've got to get your networking sorted. You've got to get your servers sorted. But things inevitably always go wrong. How, as someone who is in charge of planning such events as Copenhagen Games, this massive event, how do you deal with things going wrong? What are the sort of the red flags for you? When do you know that things aren't going to plan, and how do you work around them?
Well, the important thing is to say whenever something goes wrong, I run. And
I'm sorry, is that something translated badly again? Oh, you're just literally running away.
He is literally running.
Really? Okay.
You think it's a figure of speech, but he's actually really, really fast.
Is that why he keeps up with the football training? Just keep getting out of there as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, you might not know it, but actually when I need to run, I can really run fast. But no, seriously, we do have, I'm sorry about that, but we do have, we have people that are responsible for everything. So there are some technicians, there are some electricians, there are people working with the tournaments and everything else. And to be honest, and we have had a lot of challenges with the technical part for many years. It's nothing new. Unfortunately, that's become a part of our reputation out there. But luckily, on the other hand, we always managed to solve stuff, and we always managed to end with the tournaments at the planned time, at the planned schedule.
Yeah.
So we haven't run. I think we have to go back like 7-8 years when we had a tournament that was where the finals were done like 4 o'clock in the morning, and
Right.
that was not even because of the technical part. It was because we kept on going into overtime,
Okay.
and it was so crazy. I think it was Counter
That was
Strike, and
before Team Fortress 2. Like
yes,
we are
before.
kings of overtime here. So yeah, go on.
So basically, yeah, we have had a lot of challenges, but we are working on that now. This year, we actually had the whole system for the service, and it was not the net; it was the service that were giving some errors. We actually had the whole system ready. Everything was tested, and everything was kind of ready to go. But we did have an extra park of service with us because if anything goes wrong,
Yep.
then we need to move. You don't have the time to fix, but you have the time to start in another environment. So we actually prepare for that. So and when we started the first day, then suddenly the service started to perform badly.
Yep.
So we decided that instead of trying to find the error, we just moved everything onto the new environment. And most of the technicians actually spent the whole night
Yep.
making the movement and making everything work. So we got a few hours delayed by that. And then there were some technical issues about electricity, which was not on us because that was actually the venue delivering electricity. And they do have a huge amount of electricity there. I think that the problem was that there was somewhere in the distribution of this electricity, there was an error.
Yeah.
But they fixed that. But those two things actually gave us a few hours delay when we started. But luckily, like we do, yeah, so the tournaments kind of just, and that's because we do, when we do the tournament schedule, we do put in some margin.
Yep.
If anything goes wrong, then we have some time, we can actually make things work again.
I mean, Team Fortress 2 last year for us was frustrating because we wanted to stream the final. There were networking issues. They were completely beyond your control, and we took the decision then and there to go live with the event at the final, the time that we had stipulated to us. People at the event themselves saw the finals play out, and we had to play the event later, which was frustrating, particularly for people who had wanted to see sort of that event there at that weekend. But it kind of played out okay, and I think this sort of feeds back into something you said earlier about the core event is the LAN itself, is people turning up and having a good time at the event, making it for them, and then everything else sort of follows in.
Yeah, well, that's the heart of it. We are there, and this is about giving them experience first of all. We have teams coming in from China, from US, from Australia. They come from all over the world, and we need to make sure that those guys and girls are the ones that are our first priority, and we do that. Yep. But we also have to admit that live stream has become a huge part of esports. You cannot do international esports. You cannot secure sponsors. You cannot secure money enough if you don't handle the live stream production in a good manner. So that is very important for us to work on. I'm not sure what went wrong with the stream production for TF2. We were not a part of that this year. Hopefully we will be for next year, and together with combined resources with Mia and her team and us and our team, we will probably make that work a lot better. But it is an issue, and the funny part is, we met early today, right? The meeting I had right after we met was actually with Christian, who is was responsible for the technical part. So what we did today was actually we ran through whatever he was supposed to prepare, like the servers, the network, and team, and everything else. Yep. So, and then suddenly we realized that this is okay. This is a new venue. So everything is from scratch because we don't know about the power supply yet.
Yes.
We don't know about the net supply yet. So all of that stuff we have to run through once more. And basically you can prepare from here to
eternity.
the next 10 years, but you won't know anything before you actually are there. You know, the day we open, then we will realize and really know how big capacity this place has. I'm confident because I know they have had other events that yeah, they actually spend a lot of, you know, they use a lot of electricity, they use a lot of internet. So I'm quite I feel secure of doing this, but still I also realize that they don't have power supply enough for our event. So we will rent something
A really big battery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we did a lot. We did a lot.
Just invite Elon over. Oh, although he's not part of Tesla anymore, it's a shame.
I did try to.
We did try and invite him last time, but if you know someone who knows Elon, I'm sure he's got some batteries he can lend us. Right. I think that we are at the point where we've basically taken up most of your evening. I kind of want to leave you with a question that I love asking. If you could go back in time to I don't know, maybe slightly trimmer, a younger face, or less of a beard. I don't know what's happened to you over your years. But say 10 years ago, when this was just a dream, a glimmer, and you were starting this up, what advice would you hand over to yourself with all of this experience that you have now?
There's one thing I would say to myself is that at one point I actually chose to go all into esports. And I think I was the first in Denmark who actually started a full-time work with esports. And I chose that even not knowing whether there was a business there, whether I will be able to pay my bills at home and so on. And I took that decision because there's another story. I would like, just give me a short one.
Okay. Quick one, a quick story.
Quick story.
Yes, yeah. In all days, you know, I had my full-time work. I was managing a web development team with 5 people. So we were doing a lot of different web projects, and that was a very demanding job to have. And I started to work with esports while I was working. So and that's what we did all. And still a lot of people do that. They have their work or school and then they work with esports. So for me, it suddenly became, because esports for us became big. You slap and esport and everything became real big. So I was doing 2 full-time jobs, and I got sick. And then I suddenly got seriously sick. I was actually brought into to an hospital with sudden heart problems. And the doctor told me that I was very close to, you know, just say bye. And then he told me, well, if I wanted to live and not experience this again, I should try to put down the work. And this was only a stress-related problem I had with my heart. So I was forced to decide, and I decided that I could have stayed with my job, you know, like forever, and I had a huge salary there, and everything was growing, and I could just go and come and go like I wanted to. But I was so into esports, and this was my real passion. I told myself that, well, I don't want to live the rest of my life thinking that what if I tried?
Yeah.
You know, I know that would eat me up, you know, from inside. So I just decided to, I said, fuck that, let's try. And I'll try for years. And if it doesn't work, then I'll get back and get a job. So I just kind of, you know, jumped into it, not knowing where this will end. And this was a few years before everything kind of exploded here in Denmark. So the few years at first were very difficult because I didn't make a lot of money. I'm still not making a lot of money, but it's working now. You know, everything is going in the right direction.
Well, enough to own a Mercedes that you don't even know the number plate of. That kind of level of wealth that you're having at the moment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that's
another story, and we probably don't have time for that.
So what I actually would say to myself, you know, 10 years back is I should have taken that decision earlier.
Yeah.
I should have done it. I should have taken a decision of A or B many years back. And I'm
looking meaningfully at Mia now, who's probably on the same sort of cusp. And
I think she's there where I was, and I actually also told Lasse that you have to take a decision. You have to choose at some point. And for all of the people out there that have esports as a passion and they want to do something, and that's the best thing I can tell you is actually to jump into it, try it, don't leave out on your passion, try it, and if it doesn't work, then you can go back and have a job. but you need to, for your own sake, to give it a try. And at least you have to do it in these days, because esports is just building up now into something really serious. If you wait like 5 years, then it will become too expensive to get into esports. So this is now and a few years ahead.
Fine advice. Zahid, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been quite enlightening, if not entertaining. And I definitely look forward to seeing you at Copenhagen Games 2019.
If you can catch him.
If we can catch him. I'll come hunting for you. Now I know where you are. Near the beer, I assume. Handing it out to everybody else. With a smile on your face.
Well, we can, we can do agreement, so you'll know where you to find me, but I won't get out there somewhere. Anyways, looking forward to see you guys there, and also I am for the Team Fortress community. I'm honored that you want to be a part of Copenhagen Games, and we want to do something. I will do the best I can for you guys, and from the first part I have is actually to find sponsors, to find money, which is not very easy, because Team Fortress is not a huge community and doesn't have this huge public visibility yet. But I'll do whatever I can, and we will do our best, and hopefully that when you come, you will enjoy the event, apart from the obviously from the tournament. Enjoy the rest of the event and enjoy the city.
Thank you very much, Zahid. Thank you, and Mia. Thank you very much for joining me on this virtual sofa desk.